Hello, Fieros Reborners. Welcome to the gang, the club. Here we are. Give me my money. I don't know how people who do the weather report, I don't know how they do it, because they have to do this like without reference, don't they? They point at stuff, but it's not actually there. It's a green screen thing, and they point at it as though they know where it is. I don't know. Anyway, here's my newest piece of artwork. Give me my money, please. Give me my money now. You can give me my money by going to my new channel on COCOSCOPE.com. That is going to be in the description. It is COCO scope, COCOSCOPE.com. And this is the new piece of artwork that I have been creating. Now, people sometimes don't know how to read the writing there. We read from left to right, don't we? Red Dog, Crack Whore, Ross Wilson, January, October 2018. January to October 2018, that is this. Believe it or not, I started working on this piece in January of this year. It's part of a series entitled Energetic Realities. And the title means I am writing how my internal energies feel, so that it is real on the level of how my energies feel. So this is a kind of description of how I felt, really, on the inside, over a period of time. Now, the initial title, I usually put a title on artworks. So I start off with the topic and I write about my feelings, I would draw about my feelings about that particular topic. So this one was actually my career. Now I've blotted it out, so you'll only know it if you look on the back, which says all kinds of stuff. Which here it says they only put up the CCTV because the two gays were terrorising the dogs. What are you doing for Christmas? What are you doing? Sod all. That's just orange juice. I've always got orange juice. Mango? These are pieces of conversation that I've overheard while drawing this. Although one of them was actually from a separate occasion, but I just remembered it and decided to write it down. So I also wrote pretty much everything I could think of, all my jobs and past things to do with my career, from my early school topics and work experience through to my current thing, which is freelance artist, author. I didn't put YouTube and stuff on there. But yeah, come on to COCOSCOPE and give me, fucking hell, give me my money. Give me my money on there, because on COCOSCOPE you can pay me, you can give me tips, you can become a paid subscriber, and at such a point as I am ready to, I will be doing exclusive paid only customer video content. And COCOSCOPE is new. It's been created by a person called Piper Blush. I'm pretty sure that's not her real name. But she's a YouTube personality. You could say a YouTube celebrity. Oops. I came across her quite literally because because she had boobs, and I saw her featured in another video that had boobs in it, and I went, boobs, I like boobs, let us click on the boob video. Now look, if you look at this, my head sort of fits. If I can make my head small enough, there we go, and put it over there, and it fits in that sort of same thing. And oh, there it is. It's almost like the back of someone's head. Can you see the similarity there? It's like I'm looking over there in the picture, and then you see. It actually reminds me of the person who is doing the studio engineering and mixing and recording everything for my first album, because I used to see that view of him while he was working on the computer with the 2 screens there, mixing and editing the album that I was recording. And he had kind of short hair and mostly bald on top. Short hair around the back and then bald on top, and then you just sort of, he had a pipe though. I haven't put the pipe on there, and this hasn't come out intentionally, by the way. That's just how it came out. And then afterwards I realized, oh my god, yeah, it looks like a head with a chin and neck at the back. So that's interesting. Right. So yeah, COCOSCOPE, because COCOSCOPE you can pay me, and also the audience participation I think is quite good there at the moment, on my channel anyway. It's a very small audience, which I'm liking at the moment, because it means that there's more chance for me to be found by people, and I am getting more views on this COCOSCOPE than I have probably than I've ever got on YouTube. Thinking about it, in terms of how quickly I'm getting views, so it's nice. And there's a small audience there, but I do feel like it will grow. I feel like COCOSCOPE is a website that will have there will be many different types of websites, and I'm sure there already are many different types of websites like this, where there's a paid element, so you can be paid for making your content, and there's no censorship as well, or very sparse censorship, or very limited censorship to what you can say and also what you can show. So COCOSCOPE has you can be topless, both male or female, free the nipple style. So there can be boobs, which I'm very pleased with. There can be boobs, naked boobs on there. If cannabis is legal in your territory, you can smoke cannabis on screen. You can smoke cigarettes on screen, and your videos will not be demonetized, nor will they be taken down. You can talk about all different kinds of controversial topics, and your videos will not be censored, nor will they be demonetized, nor will they be taken down. So it's a very interesting proposition for us as creators, because we finally get to say what all the garbage that's in our brains without being in fear of having it taken down or censored or demonetized. So, and we can still earn our money from expressing ourselves and from creating our content and from entertaining people and educating people, or whatever the purpose of our videos is, or our purposes are. So that's my advert for COCOSCOPE out of the way. I am going to be, I already have started, I am migrating this channel video by video over to COCOSCOPE, and I probably will migrate my other channels over to there as well, and I will take it over with my presence, and it can be my domain, and I will rule over it like a king or a queen or a lord or a knight of the realm. Yeah. Let's get my necklace out. I don't know if I've had this one on in videos yet. Look at that, baby. Whoa, what a necklace. I knew there was something missing. So this is my little chakra necklace. I have done this in a video before. Man, I made it myself, so it's not exactly like a professional quality necklace. It's just bits of stuff glued on. Oh dear. Yes, bits of stuff glued on to a what do you call it? Tightrope, not a tightrope. Skipping rope, not a skipping rope. A shoelace, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Bing, 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 and it's not even even. It's not even, so it's slightly unweighty. But that's because the chakra stones, they are unwieldy. This one is big compared to the other ones, and this one is small compared to the other ones. So, oh well, I did the best I could. I still think it looks pretty bling. Good. Now that we got all of that out of the way, welcome to Fieros' story time with me, Fieros Reborn, on the channel Fieros Reborn. Hopefully you're watching this on COCOSCOPE now and not on YouTube, but for the moment, whatever, man. Let's carry on. Okay, I've done nothing all day apart from play computer games. Yesterday, I had a good day at work, which was doing this. making this thing, which I'm pretty pleased with, to be honest, because this is the subject of my career. And originally, let's get the picture out. Originally, it was looking pretty grim from what I had started off doing, because it's how I felt about my career. So my feelings about my career to begin with were very kind of scratchy. This middle section is how it started off, and it was worse than that because there was less vibrancy to it. It was much more dark and murky looking, and it still doesn't look particularly appealing to me. There's kind of these sharp bits over here which look a bit kind of painful, but overall, yeah, I think the yellow and all the vibrancy around the outside and also the lower part really gives it some extra oomph. So I'm very pleased with that overall, and it's the brightest, most vibrant piece I think I have ever done. I thought the piece before this one was the brightest one. Not the shadow, but one of the other bright ones. I thought that was the brightest one I've ever done, but no, now we have even more brightness. So yeah, and I mentioned that it's part of the series called Energetic Realities. Well, this is a series of pieces of A4 pieces. It's a series of A4 pieces of paper with artwork on them, with pen on paper. 2 pens, more than 2 pens, many pens, pen on paper. This one started off with fine liner, and then I finished it off with a slightly thickness of liner. Yeah. And the whole series. Let's tell you the motivation behind the whole series, right? So it was coming up to around the end of 2017, and I was going through my journaling process, and I was thinking to myself, and my drawing process as well. I was thinking to myself, I have never managed to complete a sketchbook. I have never had a sketchbook full of completed pieces that I am proud of, that fill the whole page. My sketchbooks had always been unfinished, as in every piece was unfinished, so the whole sketchbook was unfinished. I'd make little ideas of characters and never really do anything with them. I'd get so far in a cartoon drawing, and then I wouldn't bother colouring it in, or I wouldn't bother filling in certain details. I'd run out of energy and I couldn't be bothered with it. And I wouldn't ever fill a whole page like I have here. I wouldn't ever do that previously. So I set myself a goal. I bought 2 sketchbooks, 2 new, clean, fresh sketchbooks of the A4 variety. I had only initially intended to do 1, but I got 2 anyway, because my goal was to complete at least 1 sketchbook full of pieces that the whole page is covered. Now, you may notice that I don't use the colour white. That's because I don't have a white pen. And I think it's something in the kind of, so each project I have has some kind of boundaries or parameters within which the project must fit. So for example, this project, the rules are, or parameters are, let's call it rules. The rules are pen on the A4 book, page filled, no gaps and no white, so no gaps of white. And those are pretty much the biggest rules of the whole series. So it's like complete the whole page with color or ink, and then fill the whole book. But mainly it's just complete the whole page. Yeah. And there are no rules other than that, really. There were some other rules that I was using to begin with, which was something like, I have to use the really fine liner pen. Then I got to a certain point in the journey of doing these pieces, and I was like, I don't feel like I need to stick to that rule anymore. Sometimes the rules, I make the rules, and rules are made to be broken, as we know. So I stuck to this kind of pen rule because the pen was a really good, like the fine liner pen was a really good medium to express that angry, scratchy feeling that I had in my body. I had this very raw feeling that I needed to, it really kind of felt like the scratchy sensation of putting a pen on the page with a fine nib really kind of scratched that itch basically inside me and expressed that feeling inside me very well. And then I've kind of recently mostly purged that feeling, so that thing doesn't really come to me anymore because I've got rid of it and I've emptied that out. It was a negative feeling, so it's a good thing that has gone. And now I've got these slightly thicker nibbed pens, which are less scratchy when you use them. They're less scratchy. They're softer feeling, and you can get more done quicker as well. So I'm okay to have let go of the rule to only use the scratchy pens basically, and that means that I'm going to get more of these pieces done quicker, which is good. So yeah, that's the background behind these pieces. The Give Me My Money one, I'm not really sure what that is. That is a representation of some feeling of entitlement that I have within me, and I'm trying to own up to my feeling of entitlement and to deal with my feeling of entitlement to money. And also, it partly seems like a bit of kind of universal ordering, if you've heard of that, universal cosmic ordering, or universal ordering. It's weird. It's playing different roles in my life. Like originally, it was bringing up a pain in my throat and neck when I was looking at that piece, Give Me My Money. And so I've kept it up and put it there because it does trigger something in me. It triggers me. Like, I feel like I would never actually say that to someone. That's the point, that I feel like that's such a hard thing for me to say, to actually ask someone in person. It's fine doing it in a video where, you know, you may respond or you may not respond. You know, you may criticize or reject my video, but you may pick up on little points here and there. But right here and now, there's no consequence to this moment. Like, there's no one giving me negative feedback straight away. And there's something that I find difficult to do is to negotiate my needs with other people and to express myself fully when other people are there with their own needs and their own problems and their own kind of garbage going on. What's this? Is this a frame? Yeah, we could maybe put this in a frame while we're here. Yeah, so I feel like saying "give me my money" is, I mean, other people may be happy to say that to people and maybe even give me my fucking money. So for me, that's quite a challenging statement to say. And one of the reasons I think that I haven't been paid for a lot of the stuff that I've done overall is because I just haven't asked and I haven't stood up for my right to be paid for delivering work. For example, one time when I was with Mr.B, so this does tie into our ongoing theme of dealing with the Mr.B relationship. If you've just come to this video for the first time, as in you've come to my channel and this is the first video you watch, I'm doing a long-term storytelling of my life story. By the way, Mr.B was a boyfriend I had when I was 19 until 20 or 21. I don't actually really know how long that relationship was. I mean, I say it was 2 years, but it could have been less. Well, that looks all right. Well, it's a bit, doesn't fit the frame properly, or the frame's a bit, it's making it wobbly on the inside. I've got better frames upstairs. No, I don't. There are better quality frames available. But that's going to look all right in a better frame. So let's take it out of there. I go and buy them at Ryman. I get frames for $5.99 from Ryman. Give me my money. Yeah, so money has been a topic that's I found difficult to discuss over the years. So as I was saying, this one time when I was in the relationship with Mr.B, careful not to use his real name. His sister. He had two sisters. He had three sisters. He has three sisters. I presume they're all still alive. How presumptuous of me! They could all be dead, but we don't know that. Anyway, so one of his sisters. One of Mr. B's sisters had a job in some kind of recruitment, or I don't know what it was. I don't know what her role was, but somehow I got given a temporary job handing out flyers for something, can't remember what, in supermarket. I believe it was a Sainsbury's. It could have been a Tesco. Who knows? Yeah. So I had this job handing out flyers, right? Yeah, I had this job handing out flyers. I did the job. I think I did it for 2 days. Handing out flyers, a few hours, maybe 4 hours or 5 hours or something doing handing out flyers, right? Initially, I thought it was great. And I was like, hey, do you want to take my flyer or whatever the offer was? Let's say it's, hey, do you want to come join COCOSCOPE.com? And then I'd say exactly the same thing, or I'd be very enthusiastic with the next person. Actually, I didn't say the same thing. I was very creative with what I was saying. So I was like, hey there, what about you? Do you like COCOSCOPE? Have you heard of COCOSCOPE? And then most people just took the leaflet and just walked off. And then I went, hello there, person. What about this little flyer that I've got here today? You care for a flyer? Flyer? Right? And then in the next one, I'd say something different as well, like, giving out flyers today. Look at the flyer. What about a flyer? Have you thought about having a flyer, perhaps? And so I did that for about an hour. And then I was like, this is really draining. Just doing that. I kind of like, whoa, like, pow, flyer. You know, in my kind of inimitable style of flyering. And then I was like, fuck this. So I noticed my energy levels just kind of going down and down and down. Because who fucking cares, you know, from their perspective as a potential flyer receiver. I'm annoying, really. I'm just annoying them. You know, get out of my way with your fucking flyer. Why do you always... But from my perspective, I was like, I want to be the best damn flyering person there is. I'm not just going to stand there and like just hand out a flyer like all these Romanian people on the street begging for flyer money. I don't know, that sounds racist. But you know what I mean? Like people who kind of just stand there, not necessarily Romanian. Why did I say Romanian? Oh dear. They just stand there in the road with a flyer or like a sandwich board. Oh, the sandwich board people. That sucks. You know, and you just got like that triangle sandwich board that says golf sale that way, or Subway sandwiches over there, or McDonald's is 30 seconds down there. It's just so fucking degrading. Sandwich shop on my sandwich board that way, or talk to me about the sandwich shop over there. God. And they just have to stand there. They just stand. Your job is to be a walking sign or a standing sign. Just a standing sign. Your job is to stand there wearing a sign, being a sign, because we cannot afford to actually pay for an advert in this area in a permanent fixture. So you just stand there being a sign. It's a sign from the universe. I am a sign. I've become a sign. Yeah. Anyway, so I was a flyery person, right? And I was like, I'm not just going to be any old flyery person. Oh no, I'm going to be the super duper flyery person. Yeah, but that really wore off quite quickly. Probably about 2-3 hours. And I was starting to feel the burn. I was like, oh, I can't think of any new creative ways of saying, do you want to have a flyer? I used to make jokes as well. I can't remember any of the jokes, but I was making sort of some kind of joke every time. And that got really draining. So I think I did it for 2 days in a row. But by the end of the second day, I was just stood there like that. I had become everything that I hated. So I started off like, hey, flyers! By the end of the second day, I'm like, take the flyer. Flyer. Just, yeah. Why can't they just put this in a little stand instead? So, fuck that. But the point is, this relates to the give me my money story, because I didn't actually ask to be paid. Like, I was supposed to be paid for that. I was supposed to be paid 90 quid. Yeah, 90 quid I think it was for those 2 days. For 2 days of £45. Um, and I think it was because I didn't go back to do any more that I just didn't bother asking for the payment. I kind of just wanted to put the whole damn thing behind me. I was like, oh, fuck that flyer thing, you know. And I can't be bothered to chase the payment of it, because I don't want to have the possibility of being asked to do more, I think, was why I didn't chase the payment. I was just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that at all. So I did not say, give me my money, but I did think afterwards, I should have got my money. And there have been other occasions where I have not asked for my money. Money's been a real tricky subject for me in my life, actually. Past a certain point, it's been really tricky. As in, like, there have been periods in my life where it's been fine, but then there have been periods where I've had really low money esteem, if that makes any sense. Low self-esteem about money. So I had this whole period of time where I felt like I was entitled to money from people for what I did, and yet I wasn't asking for it. I think I wasn't asking for it because I felt entitled to it. Anyway, so Mr.B asked me, he told me I should chase up the payment, and I just didn't do it. And I think it's because I felt like I'd failed somewhat, because I hadn't enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for the first hour or two, and then I didn't enjoy it anymore. The flyering thing I'm talking about. Yeah. I think I felt like I'd failed because I hadn't managed to keep it going. Like, I'd gone into it thinking, oh yeah, this will be great. I'll hand out these flyers. I'll have a great time doing it because I'm a very outgoing person. And all that really happened was I got knocked down by the fact that people didn't care. People were just doing their shopping, and I'm being a kind of invasive, over-enthusiastic muppet doing this flyering thing, yeah? And I think part of me really wanted to be recognised while I was doing that job, to say, look, aren't I doing this in an interesting way? I'm the best damn flyery person you've ever seen. I bet you've never been given a flyer like this before. Ha ha! You know? And I was not being recognised for that. So my ego and my self-esteem about my flyering abilities was going down. Because I think the only real reason that I was being so excitable is because I wanted to be recognised for my talents as a flyery person. And when my talents were not recognised, I just felt downtrodden. But if you look at the reality of the situation, why was I doing that? That's unnecessarily exciting. Unnecessarily excitable way of giving out flyers. So I don't think people were ready for it. I was not appreciated in my own time. To be fair, if someone had given me a flyer like that, I'd been like, get away from me, you crazy, utter mad person. But that's because I'm quite easily scared. Nowadays, anyway. I hate those charity people on the streets. Oh, God. You just cannot get, like... so I go to Staines quite a lot at the moment. I drew that piece, the art piece, in Staines yesterday. Which, if you would like to know, was a Wednesday. Right, I drew that in Staines, right? And in Staines has got probably, just from my own experience, the highest amount of fucking charity workers in a concentrated area, because they have the same amount of charity workers sometimes in Slough, right? But in Slough, there's more space. So it's the same number of charity workers, like asking you for to help the blind squirrels of Africa or whatever it is, and to save people from world nose-picking torments. Whatever. Whatever the damn help the unborn children of the Saigon, whatever, whatever it is at the time. Ingrowing toenail charity support. The charity for people who have a slight distaste for people who wear hats to have counselling. That's the charity for the people who can't deal with other people who wear hats, who need counselling. That's what it. That's the charity. Whatever it is, like I don't have the money to give to charity anymore. I used to be. This ties into the money thing as well. Actually, this sign is helping. Very helping. Very helping. Not helping my English language skills. Anyway, yeah. So Staines has got so many fucking charity workers in a concentrated area. So, like, Staines is not massively wide in certain parts of the high street, and you walk down, one person goes blah, 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 and you're like, and then you go, okay, can I just go this way a little bit? And then someone goes blah, 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 and you're like, no. And you're like, right, let's go down behind them, like close to the bank ATM machines. Just cut behind the benches and stuff so they don't see you, don't make eye contact. Because, like, you're not allowed to look at them. Because if you look at them, even if you're just looking to see that they're there to know how to avoid them, then you're fucked. As soon as you make eye contact with them, like, you might be going, like, don't, like, you're sort of scanning people to avoid, charity workers. There's one there. Oh, that one's seen me because you're like, you've got your little scanner on. Right, charity workers everywhere. They're everywhere. Right, neutralised. Gonna avoid that one. Oh no, but in avoiding that one, I've turned my eyes towards another one. Oh shit, I've been hit by this one. And then they're like, hey, who do you have your gas and electric with? And I go, and then you walk on a little bit further and you go, what about the dogs? The dogs, the blind dogs, the dogs for the blind, and the blind dogs for the blind dogs for the deaf, and the deaf dogs for the blind. Do you want to sign up to the charity? I'm just going to ask you questions. I don't want any money. I'm just going to ask you questions. I'm just going to... And then you're like, I don't know. I hate people. I hate dogs. I hate the blind. I hate everyone. Leave me alone. And then you go over to there. And you're like, no, God, cancer charity, shaking a little thing, shaking a thing. Give me the money for the charity. Save the people from the cancer. And you're like, no, I don't care. Kill them all. I want you to die. Do you have cancer? I hope you do. I want you to stop doing it. Stop doing this job. But I've also learned they have certain rules. If you're sat down, they're not allowed to come up to you. So you can start talking to them and then you sit down on the bench and you go, it's actually a rule. It's part of their rule. And they're also not allowed to chase you down the street. That's part of their rules. Because I actually went to an interview, would you believe it, ages and ages ago for a charity worker position. Before I realised my utter loathing and hatred for the jobs. I hate those people. Oh my lord. I hate those people so much. They're so invasive and they're so fake and they're so sales oriented and they give you this whole guilt trip. Even if I did have the money to give it to them, I would still hate them. They're so invasive, annoying, obstructive, guilt tripping. They make you listen to them, or, about something you're not really interested in. And then they're always trying to steal money off you or get money off you, right? And it's like, ugh. And so I'm put in the position to just say, no. And then make you feel bad. Like, if you say no to them or say, oh, sorry, not today, then they, like, you can see they've got such fragile egos, some of these charity workers. You can see a little part in them just dies and just goes, Like if I if I say no to a charity worker, part of them just goes, oh no, and then they go, okay, next one. What about you? Do you have any? Do you want to help the frogs? Help the aged frogs? Help the dying frogs? And then someone else goes no, and they go, hey, what about you? Do you want to help the aged chickens? You know. So fuck those people. But I actually went to an interview to actually get that job before I realised the evil nature of the job. Maybe that interview helped me to realise the evil nature of the job, because I didn't get the job and I was perfectly qualified for the job, because I was going to be working for a shelter, the shelter charity, right, as a charity worker on the street. But no, but yes, charity worker on the street. No, but butless, right? A butless charity worker on the street for shelter, and I was perfectly qualified for that role because I was an invasive, obnoxious, outgoing, sales-driven moron who had also been homeless himself. But probably it was because I was too depressed and I didn't carry myself properly in the interview. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyway, this is also relevant to... Oh, no. Well, yeah, kind of. It's relevant to Mr.B and I, because while I was at university, I did not have this ability to be able to say no. I just spoke to everyone. Like, my sense of boundary with regard to being able to screen people out and being able to kind of assert my own personal direction was really weak. So I'm going to say that again. So my ability to actually kind of direct my life based on my own personal goals and desires on the street was pretty difficult. Like, I couldn't seem to say no to people. I would, if someone wanted to get my attention and catch my eye, I would be drawn to them and I wouldn't be able to close them off. In a way, I'm still kind of like that, which is why I find it so difficult with these charity workers, because I don't walk around the street like most people do with these massive blinkers on, right, where they're kind of only seeing the thing that they haven't done that they should have done, that they need to quickly go and do just before they do the other thing that they haven't done that they should have done yesterday. You know, or they're just like, people are just kind of like seeing the world through these tiny little fucking peepholes. Right, I'm walking around like, and I'm sort of seeing everyone who's there and seeing like what people are up to. Not everyone, okay, but I'm taking in the environment. I'm open. I am available to talk to if random nutters want to talk to me, and possibly too open, because it means that, like, I'm subject to potential nutter attacks. So it's why I have to go to places and spend more time in places where the nutters are limited and the nice people are abundant. And Staines is usually quite good, so apart from the charity workers. And apart from the fucking idiot teenagers who are always squealing and shouting and getting into fights. It's half term at the moment, that's why. And it's Halloween half term, so everyone's a little bit spooked. Yeah, so give me my money. Yeah, because at uni, and when I was with Mr.B, you could call it like filter. It's kind of like, but not in terms of what I say, but in terms of like who I let in who I let into my life. My filter for that was pretty damn non-existent. So it meant that if you wanted my attention, if you're a homeless person, you're asking me for money or begging me for money, then I would just kind of talk to you for hours and give you like the contents of my entire house. Right, not that bad, but I did get scammed by a few homeless people. I've mentioned that in other videos. But also the same thing operated with charity workers, where I was signed up to like at least seven of these charities. And they were all taking like a little bit of money each month from my bank account. And I looked at it at a point and I was like, I don't even care about these charities. Like, You know, I signed up to it to begin with, and I sort of see it on my statement, and I think to myself, okay, I'm doing something good for other people. But then an awareness came to me of like, I don't even know what are these people doing with the money? Like, I don't know what this is going towards. Like, so the salesperson, charity worker, nobbled me and got me, nicked my details, nicked my bank account stuff, and then convinced me to allow them to take out, I don't know, whatever it is, 99p or £1 or £2 or £3 or £4 or £5 or something, or £10 a month for their charity. And then I'm going, but I don't even, it's sort of like, it became something that I was no longer doing consciously anymore. I was no longer doing something consciously, and I felt like I wasn't really giving anything because it was just being leached out of me unconsciously. It was a bit, yeah, like a leech thing. So it wasn't like I was choosing every month to give money or whatever. It wasn't active. It was just this passive something sucking money out of my bank account. And I realized I am starting to go into my overdraft and stuff, and these are expenses, these charity things that, why are they there? Like, I remember doing them and choosing them, but now they're just piled up and I got loads of them, and I'm like, okay, I need to cancel that. And I rang them all up over an afternoon or a couple of different afternoons, and just cancelled them because I was like, these, I don't, it's not that I don't support what they're doing, it's I don't actually know what they're doing. Also, I don't know why I'm doing it, particularly me, you know. Is it just about guilt, and is it just about fear of saying no, or what? I can't really afford this. So I just sort of went bing, 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 you know, and just got rid of them. And I'm not going to say it was one of the best decisions of my life, but it was a pretty good decision. For a while I felt a little guilty about it, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I just feel like having that, from a charity's perspective, it's great because they get their income coming in from lots of different people, and they can therefore budget things and use money more effectively. But from my perspective as a potential donator, it just feels like something that you do once, and then it becomes this unconscious thing, and you're no longer actually doing anything. It's no longer an active process. It's just kind of, it's like people have just stuck a little straw into your bank account and are just sucking things out. So just for me personally, I couldn't afford it, and I just decided, right, I need to maximize or minimize my outgoings, because I think probably one of my jobs or something had gone. I can't remember. Yeah, so that's a little story. That was hard work, because I'd signed up to all of them. Pretty much every person, every charity who I'd stopped to speak to had got my details and how I had signed up to them, which was fine at a certain point because I had the money to, but then I didn't have the money to, and I was like, I need to cancel these. So yeah, don't be afraid to do that. If you have too many outgoings of charities, it is your right to say to them that you want to discontinue it and you want to stop it. You want to cancel your subscription to giving however much per month or week or whatever it is, or year even. Yeah. So that relates to that. Mr. B and finances are relevant. Mr. B would he's very I would say anal about his finances. So he would get his bank statement out every week or month, more likely week than month, and he would check every expenditure, maybe against his receipts, I think, something like that. He would check his expenditure against his receipts. Which can be a good practice to do, to bring consciousness to your money situation. I've done that before, where you're checking through your bank statement to see, what am I spending money on? Like, what have been my financial choices this month and this week? But he would do it so meticulously, it just felt odd. And I don't know, maybe he's definitely more financially well off than I am right now, but I couldn't do that because it just felt very controlling, I suppose, is the feeling. It felt very fear-based and very petty. It felt very petty, like bean counting. It felt like bean counting, and that just felt I don't know. It was weird how he did it as well, and he sort of got this smug sense of self-importance from doing it as well. Like he thought that by doing that, it made him a great person or something. I don't know. It was strange how he had everything. He was very organized. Right, so he was obsessed with having things in order and in files and numbers and stuff, which, okay, that can be a great and helpful skill. It's a very useful skill to have, but something was odd about it for me, about why and how he did that. I can't quite put my finger on it. Just something a bit, I don't know, like obsessive or something? Obsessive, or like there wasn't a sense of lightness around it. It wasn't just kind of something he did. There's just kind of a task, to do, to just check something. He was sort of getting some kind of like evil pleasure, evil, smug, self-satisfaction pleasure from doing it. Like a feeling of that he was in control of it. Weird. Yeah. And so I mentioned before we had these issues about money. So he was quite controlling about what he thought that I should be doing with money. And actually I had this throughout a lot of my life, is finding that people seem to have strong opinions about money and strong opinions about work and strong opinions about what I personally should be doing as work, what is the right way to behave around money. There's a lot of that. Like my parents actually have two quite different takes on things, in fact. So my dad is more about investing in yourself and being a free person. So working for yourself, building a company or a business. And my mum is more of a person she likes to be part of something bigger than herself, and she likes to sort of subsume herself in a large organization or an organization of some kind. She likes to be more in a role, whereas my dad likes to create his own role or create his own lifestyle, life business around things that he is interested in and wants to do. And my mum likes to do stuff that she's interested in that match to her talents and her skills and her preferences, but she likes to do it in an environment that's already organized and there, whereas my dad is more someone who likes to start things and initiate them and build them and maintain them and grow them. So mum kind of wants to be part of something bigger that's already there and contribute her share. And my dad wants to create this new thing and spread it out and make a thing of it. And also that would come into conflict, because my mum would be saying to get a normal crappy job, like a really basic level job, because it's money coming in, and her favourite thing to say would be to keep body and soul together, which means to kind of support for your own physical needs and to support for your financial lifestyle, to buy things and do things. And my dad would be in conflict with that, saying things like, these low-level jobs are beneath me, and that I should be looking to be I don't know really what my dad's advice was, but it was more kind of follow your dreams and go in your own direction. And then mum was saying, no, go in the direction of society. So those two are in conflict. And honestly, I think if I look at how I behaved, I was trying to appease both my mum and my dad by doing something original within a safe boundary, and I found that I couldn't do either. Actually, I couldn't succeed at pleasing my dad and becoming a successful musician, and I couldn't please my mum by having a background, steady, normal job. Yeah, and I couldn't please my mum or my dad in the financial or work arena, which meant that for me it was a very conflicted. It is still, but less so, because I don't have a job, and I'm actually more comfortable and safe feeling not having a job or any working thing at all at the moment. I'm taking a big old break from the work life because my whole brain and emotions just could not deal with the working world. Partly because I never knew whether I was doing the right thing or not in terms of for myself or for my career, and not really knowing what I wanted to do. For example, in the low-level job, as in the basic level minimum wage type job, I wouldn't know why I was doing it. I'd go and get the job, and I'd go in it for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I'd go, okay, the money's really poor. I don't know why I'm doing this. And then I'd go and try and do my own thing and build my own business, and then I'd go, this doesn't feel exactly what I'm actually supposed to be doing, so I can't carry on. It feels inauthentic somehow to carry on. Yeah, well, I don't know. Give me my money. So, Mr. B, he threw the remote control across the room. He used to stomp around while I was meditating, which was really annoying. There was this one time when we went to Virginia Water, which is a place nearish to my place, by car, about half an hour's car journey. And it's a place that's got woods, some open grassland, a waterfall, and a river or a lake. River or lake? I don't know. Lake, river, and there's a totem pole there actually as well. So it's a kind of hilly park with a waterfall, river, stream stuff, nature thing. Yeah. So we went there together. It was near to where we were living. And I wasn't feeling good. I was not feeling good at all. It was one of the worst feelings I'd had. It felt like I was trapped. I was anxious and guilt-ridden and depressed and trapped and fearful and angsty all in one. And it was a really difficult afternoon because I had this horrible feeling the whole time. It's like in my face and in my chest and in my stomach, and also just a feeling of like being all around me, like feeling trapped. And I think actually, if I look at it, it was because I was with him that it was there. Because I didn't feel like I could be myself, and I felt like every thought I was having, because remember I've spoken about my feelings about women and wanting to be with women and thinking about women all the time and being in a conflict situation in my head about being with a guy and fancying women and not wanting to be having gay sex and not enjoying being in the relationship and feeling like I'd committed to this identity as well, the whole gay identity. So I was having this conflict inside myself about who I am, why am I here, what am I doing, what is this relationship all about. And I remember going to this Virginia Water place and us walking around and talking, and me just feeling like absolute crap the whole time. And I believed that Mr. B was trying to sort of get me through it, which is something that he would do. But I think that overall, the reason I was feeling that way was because I was with him and I didn't want to be with him. And I felt trapped being with him. I felt like my mind had been invaded. My emotions had been invaded. I wasn't allowed to have my own emotions. I wasn't allowed to have my own space. I wasn't allowed to have my own friends. I wasn't allowed to go and visit my family without him being there. I wasn't allowed to spend time at my family's house without him being there. I wasn't allowed to stay the night in my old bed. I wasn't allowed to call my family home. I had to call where we were living home, even though it didn't feel like home because I didn't want to be there, and I felt isolated from my family and friends. I felt like I was just stuck in this house, in this small house, isolated from the people at uni. This was like, I think it was towards the end of our relationship. I don't know. I think I'm just talking generally now, about the feelings that I had while I was there. I felt more and more felt isolated from people, depressed, lonely, sat by myself, trapped in this place, worthless, empty, and people, like one of his sisters was pretty kind of condescending to me about the fact that I didn't have a job. So when I came home from uni in the summer, I worked for his dad doing some, Mr. B's dad, doing some painting and decorating in the local area. So we repainted this. They were doing up this barn to make it a livable space, which I believe is where Mr. B then subsequently went to live for a while. It was still on the same estate, the same private estate of land where we were living. There was an old barn that was part of this old estate, kind of, I think it was Victorian at least, but possibly even Tudor. Very old buildings made of wood structures, wood and stone and brick or whatever, I don't know. And they were refurbishing this old barn to make it into a living space, and I painted that, some of it, and painted it badly. There are some splodges that I put on the actual beams by accident of white paint or cream paint, and that was bad because that looked terrible. I'm sure they just painted over it, but yeah, that was bad. And they were refurbishing or making a local windmill into a living space as well. I think they were giving it a whole new interior, basically. And I was doing the painting and decorating for that, right? So I'd been given this job with him, and I wasn't particularly good at getting up to go to it because I guess I just didn't care. I really didn't care about the working world. I came back from uni, and uni was a place where I was active, where I was enjoying the work that I was doing. So my work at uni was being an open mic night compere, and I was busking in a town centre at Reading, which at that time I still was okay with busking. I still was kind of enjoying it, even though it was freezing fucking cold. And then I'd come home to this place where I was living with Mr. B, and I was doing these jobs that I just didn't care about. Was isolated from all the people who I'd been friends with at school because they'd gone off to different places, and the people who I still knew from school, Mr. B didn't like. So I wasn't allowed to spend much time with them, and I was discouraged from spending time with them. So I was just kind of trapped in this little house while he was at work when I didn't have any work to do, and I was just so kind of isolated. I went busking once on the weekend per week. I tried to read books from my uni stuff, and just kind of bumbled around the house, did a bit of artwork, but it was pretty depressing. Like, I did some poetry. It was just literally me sat in a room on this stuffy estate full of upper middle class people and feeling isolated by myself. And then Mr. B's eldest sister, I had heard that she was being really condescending to me, condescending about me, about the fact that I didn't have a job. And I just thought, you people are bastards. And I got called a freaky weirdo for the fact that I was vegan by another one of Mr. B's relatives. So it was another sister of his, husband, I think, or boyfriend, partner, husband. He called me a freaky weirdo for being vegan, and it's just like fuck these people, man. So I was lonely, and I spent time with the dog, throwing the tennis ball with the dog, and then waiting for this dickhead of a boyfriend to come home and count his beans. So it was all wrong, basically, that whole time. It was all wrong. And then when I would go out and do my stand-up comedy gigs, I'd get problems being presented from Mr.B about why I shouldn't be doing it and I should be doing something else or whatever. So, yeah, fuck that. Mr.B continues. Oh. So, really, it was that relationship that started to drive me insane. Started to make me feel crap. Started to make me want to commit suicide, kill myself. I remember I called up the Samaritans at one point because I just couldn't handle it. I could not handle being with Mr.B, and I felt like I couldn't even I couldn't break up with him either. It was such a trap to be with him. So there's still obviously a lot more to talk about here than I'd even realised. And I hadn't realised just how much that relationship affected me. I know it's been buried. I'd known that it had been buried. I'd known that it had been sat there, unprocessed. I knew that it had an effect on me. And I knew that I was really angry at him afterwards. And that it's been the relationship that I've done the least processing work on in my own private work, like journaling and stuff. And even when I've been to therapy, I haven't really spoken about it. I've only spoken about it here and there. Yeah. So there's still more to talk about that. Because it feels like I haven't really fully expressed why it was such a bad relationship and why it was such a hard relationship for me to leave. Maybe it just sounds like, after a couple of years I just went, fuck, threw in the towel. But I wanted to leave for a long period of that. 6 months minimum, maybe even a year, and was feeling terrible during it. And not being able to actually do anything, feeling like I couldn't do anything, and actually literally not being able to do anything. Because when your feelings get to a certain point and your feelings are obstructing you from taking action, basically, you feel so depressed or you feel so trapped and so low or downtrodden that you literally can't even do anything because your feelings are paralyzing. So I was paralyzed a little bit by the relationship I'd got myself into and couldn't leave. I've spoken about the process of leaving him before, but maybe I haven't gone into it in enough detail. Like, there's still more to pull out from that relationship. Yeah. Bugger. And then we've got to go back to Ward 10 eventually. And sort of finish off that part. I feel like if we can get this Mr.B stuff just nailed and right, that is it. I have said the truth. I have told everything I wanted to tell about it. There's nothing more in there about that. Then we can finish Ward 10, go off into the wilderness, and go to Ward 12, be in Ward 12 for ages and fucking ages, and then set myself free. It almost feels like Ward 10 and 12 are easier to talk about once I've done this Mr.B stuff. It feels like this Mr.B stuff has got a real central pull of energy to it. And once this is finished, it makes the things that come afterwards easier to talk about. Even though the things that come afterwards, you could say, were a lot worse, in various different ways. Because they weren't the first thing that really went wrong and was really bad for me, they're easier. I don't know why. Because I was older and more mature or something. But I wasn't really more mature. I don't know. Let's just leave it there. And we'll talk more next time. So there you go. All about a difficult relationship. Man, gonna have to need a fucking drink again. Oh. I am feeling better though overall. I feel like this really does clear stuff when I do this. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll speak to you next time.